Let's go over to the next panel we have. I know we have Bastiaan on the panel, and I know we have also Ralf Mueller on the panel. But I see also some more people here. Maybe I need to introduce some more people. Bastiaan and Ralf, welcome.
Welcome. There should be a Thomas and a Peyman.
Hello.
Look at that.
Welcome.
Very warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Well, I wish you good luck and enjoy the stage.
You're hosting us, Wouter? You're the chairman. You're the...
Oh, do I need to host this session?
You should have received a briefing with the questions.
Very warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Well, I wish you good luck and enjoy the stage.
You're hosting us?
Well, I can do that, but I didn't know that on beforehand, so we need to improvise that a little bit. But let me first start with introducing you guys, because otherwise I really nobody knows that who we are. So Bastiaan, let's start with you.
I'm Bastiaan de Groot. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ingi. We make buildings smart by putting the wireless infrastructure in place through the lighting. Over to you, Ralf.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. My name is Ralf Mueller. I'm a senior consultant for digital services within Zumtobel Lighting. So what we are doing finally is taking the technology implemented in sensors and integrate that into luminaires to give our luminaire infrastructure some beyond typical lighting functionality, definitely address specific and smart building projects. Thomas.
Peyman or Thomas?
Whatever.
Thomas, go ahead.
No, Peyman, please you, because you have a solution.
Yes, exactly. That made sense for me.
So my name is Peyman Blumstengel. I'm based in Munich. I'm heading the business development activities of Haltian in DACH region. Haltian, probably you know from the past presentation, I hope, is offering a portfolio of devices and sensors helping enterprises to accommodate and measure their hybrid working, occupancy, and at the same time also have a digital twin helping the employees to have a better or greater work experience in a new normal that we are encountering. More on that maybe later.
Yes, and
Cool.
I'm Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah, sorry. I'm Thomas Weisshaupt. I'm heading the operations in the German-speaking countries for Wirepass. And Wirepass offers a connectivity suite that facilitates the sensor connectivity on large scale, on massive scale, in buildings as well as in future also in the 5G technology. And we are somehow the secret sauce behind the solutions that were presented today from Haltian, from Zumtobel, from Ingi. Only on the connectivity layer, but very important to keep your building digitally alive over the next decade.
Okay. Let's move over to some questions. How mature is the usage of wireless technology in smart buildings? Who can I give the floor?
I can take over that. What is relatively simple. In smart building, it depends a bit if it is a new building or refurbishment, but wireless technology themselves are very mature in the building construction side. For sure, there is a very wide acceptance to do everything with cabling, as most of them did in the last decades. But since wireless communication standards has been available on the market, we see a strong progress and a strong acceptance on the market in acting with a wireless source. So these fears from the past that this is not stable enough and not good enough to be all over the time available, I would say they are more or less gone. And so to say, from our point of view, it is very good in shape and good time to use it more and more.
And how do you see this, Thomas?
So on the let's say availability side, I can fully sign what Ralf said. On the deployment side, I would say there are still some challenges to overcome, because they're mainly mental challenges, to be honest, because you have to really take some of the minds in the planners, in the, let's say, architects, and especially also in the installer side. Because if you're used to develop or to deploy cabled infrastructures over the last 20, 40 years, it's very difficult to being convinced about the wireless technology being as reliable and as versatile as the cable. So that's literally the challenge, is really to get in. And I see one big driver, at least in the European space, and that's the upcoming labor shortage in the installer side, where wireless technologies also require, besides having a reliable connectivity, also require the right tools and methods to provision, commission, etc. The devices in the field, so that the technician that goes out there or the installer that goes out there doesn't have to become a wireless expert. That's very important. That's crucial.
And how do you see that, Peyman? Because I think at Haltjan, you also need like a connection within the buildings. Does it need to be a wireless connection, or is everything with cables?
It's all wireless. Actually, from a practical perspective, my first concern and my preparation in discussion with most of enterprises was around to provide much detailed background of the wireless technology, how does it work. But in practice, no one cares actually, because at the end of the day, they are use cases they want to solve, and they don't care, is it Wirepass, is it whatever. And at the end of the day, it needs to be reliable. And it turned out to be the solution that we have built based on Wirepass Mesh is an extremely reliable solution. I usually go there together for the pilots. Within a couple of hours, install all the occupancy sensors, environment sensors, and then I'm gone. And then the people can say, okay, I want to have that table here instead of this place. I want to have more sensors here. I mean, if you want to do that with cables, it's a huge planning of having the right cable at the right place coming out. Yep. And with sensors, it's extremely easy. And the facility managers are very happy to be able to flexibly measure, adjust the environments, the zones, especially with the new work, activity-based working, that the people need to change the zones of the flexibly in the building. It's important you have that flexibility in place.
Yeah, so if the next question, how does the cost benefit compare of wireless versus wired pay out? It's for you pretty easy because it's wireless, I guess.
Exactly. One of the key questions I was usually asked is, okay, it's a battery based, and we don't want to have a battery base. It's probably 1 year you need to come back and install. And no worries, all the occupancy sensors at least 5 years. So it is basically a use case that people don't think about beyond 5 years, let's say. And if it's the case, then all they need to do to reconsider their installations and add some batteries or change the batteries. There are reloadable batteries. So from ecological perspective, there is a balance you need to. If you want to do a quick use case, let's say for a couple of months, definitely battery base is good. Going beyond that and going for 5, 6, 7 years, so it's our use cases materialize, amortized very quickly, but it gives you the flexibility to adjust the building. Who knows how the building look like in 5 years from now? And it's very critical to have that flexibility in place.
So
Yeah, Bastiaan, how do you see that? Because we talked about this before already. You can also connect your sensors to the lighting system or not?
absolutely. I think that's where we think we have quite a great combination, right? So the wireless obviously makes the installation much faster, as we said, as Peyman said. But of course, yeah, the battery is still a challenge. However, I think what Peyman very rightfully points out is that even if you take the battery replacement cost in 5 years, the business case versus pulling cables is still much better. But what we have found quite an interesting combination is, hey, if you have your lighting, which is 230 volt power, anyway, so you get rid of all your control cables to your lighting. So that's a massive saving. You don't have any battery issues in your lighting because they are 230 volt powered anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have a backbone in your whole building to basically get basic occupancy data already, because that sits just in your luminaire, so you don't need any additional sensors for that. But also you can then combine that with a lot of sensors that are actually energy harvesting, right? Because you have that backbone in your building of powered nodes. You can then take an energy harvesting sensor, which just broadcasts a really quick signal once it receives something. And because you have so many nodes that are powered that can listen in and catch that signal, that's enough, right? So, I mean, a very strong case we do at the moment is, for example, window sensors. So we have sensors that check if a window is open or closed for HVAC optimization. But normally, if you do that wired, you're looking at a €200, €250 installment cost just to get that wire into the window frame, right? And we put a solar-powered cell on there, checks if the window is open or closed, and if the state changes, it broadcasts the signal. One of the luminaires picks it up. And then you have the perfect combination, right? So you go from €250 to maybe €60 per window. Huge saving. And you have no battery issue neither. So, I mean, that's really a no-brainer in terms of wired versus wireless.
Especially if I could add something here, to Bastiaan, especially if it comes to that building where we have the biggest potentials in improvements. These are the old buildings where we have energy potential like hell to take. And especially in these projects, which are probably not got a full refurbishment, what is mainly a new construction, there is this wireless connectivity exactly as Bastiaan said, absolutely no-brainer. That's no doubt about that. And doing that combination between some are installed in the lighting because the lightings are everywhere and anyhow powered, and some in some specific place where there are no cables. There possibly we use sensors with batteries, also accepted. But in all, or as a total sum under the line, I would say batteries are always discussable. In terms of sustainability, nobody wants to have them, if we are honest.
Yeah, and is the
sustainability
is the most important part on batteries?
Yeah, sustainability and the effort for maintenance. If they are long lasting, 5 years or longer, then everybody would say, well, if we have to change them every 5-6 years, that it's acceptable. But if that change would need 10 minutes per sensor, then it's in a bigger installation. It's a huge time effort. However, if the winnings out of that installation are so big, nobody cares. This is right. But if there is a chance to operate a sensor battery less by an USB supply, at a working desk, as an example, then it's not really appreciated.
I mean,
And how is
wireless
this
doesn't
for-
have to mean, wireless doesn't need to be battery powered, right? So it can also be
No, sure not.
energy harvesting, but
Yeah.
also you can have the flexibility that you can just plug it in where you have a power socket and you only have to matter about power. Right?
Correct.
That can also be a major, so powered with wireless can still be a huge benefit.
Yep.
Is this any different for new builds versus existing buildings? I can imagine new builds. Well, you do everything wireless because then you can just start off the ground and do it the right way. And maybe the other way around, Thomas.
It's actually
Wait, stop. So now on the new building, you have always the opportunity to, for the first cycle of, for the first usage cycle of life cycle of the building, you can have you can pull the power lines wherever you want, and don't have to take care about the data lines. I think we have to be very careful to distinguish between a power line and a data line. So you can take literally a power line everywhere in a new building. That's perfect. And also in the refurbishments, we have power lines. Yeah? And if you, for example, change the lights and you want to have the sensor data out of the lighting sensors, the occupancy data next to it, and so on, electricity cables are the only thing you need, and they are there. So I don't see there a big challenge. The challenge I see in this discussion about harvesting versus battery, we have another conflict, I guess, here, which is, do we have an intent? So, and that's more for the decision makers of the solutions. Do we have an intended lifetime of the project, of the sensor? 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? What do I expect? And when after this lifetime, this sensor needs to have a battery replacement, you can calculate that in your business case because it's very easy to find out. The other thing is you need to have sufficient availability of a sensor in the network in order to get a real device management done. Because we all know that a second visit, unplanned visit at a sensor point or a light point is killing the case. No matter if you compare it with wireless and wired, a second visit, unplanned visit on a sensor or on a device where someone has to go and do something is killing the case. But when you know how long the battery will last, you can make your case around it. That's not an unplanned visit to change the battery. And you have to choose the technology, and that's very important. The base technology that allows you to have the reliability on the device management on the one hand, so that you can always update these devices in the field, unless they are just sending, like Bastiaan said, harvested signal like a switch. You don't need to update a switch. But any sensor which requires a little bit more of software requires also a little bit more of updates. So no software is an artifact and will remain only a few years, and you always have to touch it. So this connection to the network is absolutely necessary to be built in the business case that you have, and it's all about the case in the end. When you decide for a wireless solution, be it battery-powered sensors and so on, you can mix and match them anyhow.
What are some of the key challenges of using wireless? Who wants to answer this question?
I think a big challenge we see is that, I mean, we're sort of academically speaking here about wireless as if wireless is one thing, and it's not, right? While there is many different flavors of wireless, and especially if you're far away from the material, you might just think, well, wireless is wireless. You know, what does it matter? And it does actually. And it's a very critical decision to make in your architectural view. It's okay, what is the base wireless technology that I'm actually going to build my IT infrastructure on? Right. So
why is that so important? Why is that so important?
Because there are many different technologies and they have different pros and cons and very different use cases. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for people facing right now is, on one hand, a very limited knowledge of wireless, because wireless is good. If people know there is Wi-Fi and others, then that's already a great start. And then so limited knowledge, and then big implications, right? And of making the wrong choice. So if you choose the wrong wireless technology, you don't understand the differences between them. You're very easily run down the wrong path. And
So what kind of so this will have a huge impact on the decisions real estate owners make.
Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're having this round table right now. Because I think it's a hugely important decision. And I can so imagine if you're sitting on the top of a real estate decision-making tree, and you're thinking about this cloud and the sensors and wireless, you just think, well, wireless is wireless. Who cares? Then it matters. It matters greatly in the decision you make.
Do you see real estate people getting lost?
Yes, and I may see them making huge mistakes, huge costly mistakes.
How can Thomas? I see you're nodding. How can you help? And what do real estate people really need to know before they start making these big decisions?
So yeah, I'm happy not being an engineer in this business, so I had to go the steep learning curve. So one thing what we really need to look at is that the application and solution is not the connectivity. So very often this is mixed. Connectivity is below the application, and you have to see what you want to connect. You want to connect different sensors with different purposes, lighting. What do you want to connect over the lifetime in the next 5 to 10 years in your building? Not only one application or one solution. If you just want to survey your bins, or you want to survey or count people in the entrance room, in the entrance area, fine. Then you connect just this one with let's say a homegrown, more consumer-oriented wireless technology, where let's say, for example, scalability doesn't play a big role, and you buy that from your solution provider, and that's it. But if you want to build a wireless strategy for your building, you really have to look on the different layers of connectivity, and then look what ecosystem of applications is already existent for this connectivity layer. What performance do you get from this connectivity layer? And what infrastructure do you need in place? And what would it mean to, let's say, if I have to refurbish, change this infrastructure in a certain place? And that's why, for example, the lighting as a backbone platform for the connectivity is an excellent decision to make. And then you marry, in one point, you marry infrastructure of the building with the occupancy, with the tenants, with whatever is happening in the building. Even on the production side, you can do asset tracking. So if you have a vision like this, you don't need to go in details of the connectivity technology, but you need to understand what decision you are taking, and then ask the experts what they deliver. And please don't look at 5G PowerPoints at that stage.
Well, I think
Yeah, Ralf, how do you see this? What kind of questions do you get where you get really enthusiastic about?
Yeah, the special thing is the uncertainty for engineers, for MEPs, in planning it and describing the tender. So the old traditional way of cabling and all that, where everybody is familiar with, and a copper cable is a copper cable and has a strong connection. Wireless, it's not that easy to design, or in a design phase where you do not exactly know how will the interior look like, the material for furniture, wooden construction here, metal plates there, and all that makes it a bit difficult in the designing phase, where on the other hand, these engineers has to guarantee the investor that it will work afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, sure. That's what, if you invest in something, that's definitely, if it later not works, you go to court and say, hey, no. However, what I want to say is the very important thing is here, in my opinion, in our opinion, that you use a reliable wireless system. And that's what we found with Wirepas. What is really very good and have such good connectivity and wide range of functionality, self-healing, channel hopping, and all that. Better than, well, is there an interference and it stops working? No, that shouldn't not. So from that point of view, I think that technologies which are today existing are unfortunately and luckily, however, are not all the same. But in my experience with the Wirepas stack is if you set something up, I have not experienced now a big failures or big problems.
So it's working.
Setting up. It's working fantastic.
It's working all the time. Yeah.
I think
yes.
Yeah. I think if I build on that and say, well, what would I give the decision makers in the, I think the first thing I would say is, look, do look at your wireless stuff, right? And, I mean, I made that mistake very in the beginning of my entry into the smart space. And I just remember it as the day of yesterday where I made my first, strategy assessment and put a big circle around wireless technology and I put an arrow in it and just say commodity, right? It's just a commodity. Don't need to think about this. This is solved. And this is like, it was such a big mistake. And I made that mistake. And I'm an engineer, right? By training. And I can so see you making that mistake. It's not a commodity. You've gotta look at it. And then the first thing I would say is don't be puzzled by fake claims like open, look at the pudding. Look at the proof in the pudding. Okay, you say you have an open, scalable, flexible system. Then please show me the set of sensors that actually work on your system. Because it's great you have an open system, but there is only one person implementing this open system. It ain't open, right? So it's not so much about the keyword. It's about what is it delivering. You say it's scalable. All right. Take me to an installation with tens of thousands of nodes and show me that it works. And and I'm now just gonna pull 100 sensors out of here. Does it still work? Yeah. Give it, kick the tires. Kick the tires a few times. That's what I would just say, and I'm happy to recommend that because come and kick my tires. But there is a lot out there which once you give, you don't even need to kick the tires, you just have to blow at the tires and the whole thing collapses. And I think that's what I would give. Don't assume it's solved and it will just work. Kick the tires.
So Peyman, what kind of in-depth knowledge would you like to have real estate people that they maybe don't have right now? And what kind of questions should they ask you?
It depends which phase or which type of decision making you want to do. If you want to build the whole solution with putting jigsaw pieces together, usually need to become extremely technical very soon. But if you rely on an application and say, okay, here's an application, when this application works, bring the jigsaw pieces together that that it works together, you have an ecosystem around it, and ask for a quality of service or SLAs, then basically all you need to do is just to look at a couple of references, see how it works there, and then trust the system integrator that it does for you. The comparison is good as Bastiaan made. If you want to build your car for yourself and look for single elements, it becomes extremely complicated and technical to choose the right elements. But if you decide for a brand to say, okay, it needs to work and ask for a service, that's a totally different approach. So the idea is, you have the team, you have the resources, you want to build it for yourself, and you have a huge base of real estate square meters that you need to deliver over the years. Probably you should build that knowledge in-house. But if you say, I want to have an application run, I want to use the service, I only need the data, and analysis and making decision making, then look for someone that reliably have delivered that in the past, have good references, and trusted to do it.
Yeah, and I think there are already a lot of enough companies like you and Wirepass from Thomas that have done already a lots of buildings. So a lot of examples.
Exactly. Yes.
Absolutely. But I think if I would build on payments example is you make sure that you still, I mean, even if you, I mean, I'm fully agreeing with go for an integrated solution, somebody that can deliver the integrated stuff, right? But check for something that at least on quite a few points is open and is interchangeable, so that you don't get into a lock-in with a certain vendor with one technology that doesn't scale. So you still need to do your due diligence, even if there is the integrator, to making sure you have some sort of flexibility in the system to at least swap parts out and to hand over to another system integrator or to another, that there is some form of openness in there.
Exactly.
Which does not need to mean that everything has to be on an open source, open standard body, right? There is many ways of how things can be open.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, but then we just talked about the wireless technology. I don't know anything about wireless technology, so as I assume they are like different kind of categories. But what kind of categories do we have, and how do they differ from each other? Can you explain that to me, Thomas?
Let's say it like this: if I should explain it to you, we would take more time than this event takes. But, I try to make a little bit of a highlight. First of all, you have topologies. Yeah, so you have to look. What you offer to the wireless system is your room, because that's there the data is transmitted. And then how does this radio chip that is in the sensors manage the usage of this room for connecting devices? And then it's a bit like human beings. You enter the room, are you polite to the others, or are you shouting them down? Yeah? And that's the question of a topology. If you have a central system like a cellular, as we know, you have one base station and everybody tries to shout his message to this guy in the front, yeah, then it becomes pretty loud in this room when you have too many people out there. That's, by the way, why telecoms are using exclusive spectrum and buying this spectrum, because nobody else is allowing to enter this room. In most of the wireless solutions in the what we talk about, we are in a room with others, like 2.4 gigahertz is Wi-Fi is around, you have Bluetooth is around, Zigbee may be around, and so on. So you have to look in the topology, and we are proposing for this building section a mesh topology where the device, the sensor itself, is also acting as a low-powered router or a powered router in the lighting sensor, so that you go into the room and you play the game like a children's game, yeah, where you whisper to the next one in the ear something, and the noise level in the room is pretty low. And that's why mesh topologies are better, in our proposition, better for these kind of use cases that require massive type of sensors than point-to-point. So there are justifications for point-to-point, and so on. We have a lot of. Then the next thing is the design principle. Many of the wireless technologies are coming from consumer worlds and are designed for a different purpose, like a Bluetooth.
For buildings.
But not for buildings on a large scale. So the proof of concepts always work. That's my pain. They come with the Bluetooth solution, say it works. Look, yeah, the proof of concept with 20 devices works.
Yeah, in a big building with a lot of sensors, then it will be difficult.
What about 10,000 devices? And I don't go into technical details, but we are using the 40 lanes that are in the room in order to transport this message from one ear to another. While, let's say, consumer technologies I have at home, they're using 3 or 5 channels out of these 10, and they cannot move away when a Wi-Fi is coming in. So these are the, let's say, the interferences. How you use the room is a major topic. And the second thing I would add to Peyman and Bastiaan is this: look at, we call it flatten the stack. Look at, if you just look at the connectivity your integrator is providing, is there an ecosystem of device vendors around, or is the integrator the only one who provides this device? Yeah. And what is behind there? And is there an operator involved which causes recurrent fees in terms of, let's say, giving you the data back that you anyway own, because he's operating a huge network? It just comes at a cost. And when you scale up, this cost of scaling should be, let's say, the marginal cost of an additional sensor should be going down for the connectivity. If it's linear, you might block your future business cases for future addendums for your system. Yeah? So these are the things I would look at a bit more strategically on what would I like to know from my building, from my places, over the next 10 years until the next refurbishment cycle of 15.
Yeah.
If I can add another angle to that, I see a lot of mixtures of very different technologies that are just used in the wrong space, right? And I think that if I zoom out maybe even a bit further from Thomas, so you have your I'll be very correct for Thomas, but cellular 5G, which for most people we can leave the cellular off. You know, what they know as 5G, right? So it's one tower that broadcasts for a whole area, right? Which is great. If you want to do connected street lighting, that's maybe a good option. Or if you want to track, particular, you connect your GPS, track the position of your cars with GPS. I think that's a great, reasonably high bandwidth, large areas covered. That technology makes sense. You have high bandwidth technologies in the building, like Wi-Fi, which is great if you want to stream video. It's a great option. You have local area networks like Bluetooth that connect my headset now to my phone. It's a great option. And then you have like the in-building low energy space, right? Which is what the smart building space is. Which is a very different thing again, right? So there we have lots and lots of sensors, very low power, very low bandwidth. And that's another set of technologies. And what we very often see is that the technology is taken from one domain and then just plunked in there. Oh, and that will work. Oh, we'll just use 5G because it will work everywhere. Oh yeah, will it work indoor? What about your battery usage? If I'm going to use a central tower to send everything in, then the battery usage will explode because I have to cover hundreds of meters instead of meters. Mm-hmm. And cost, right? And I think that's what Thomas very importantly said. The moment you have something that runs on cellular, you have recurring costs for your connectivity. Once you have something in your building that is local, you lose the cellular cost.
Hey guys, we are a little bit running out of time, but I hope you have a couple of more minutes left because I have some more questions for you. I hope that's okay for you all. Ralf, how do you see standardizations play a role in this? Because you must see also a lot happening at Simulton.
Yeah. This is absolutely right. We see a lot of different things coming, and standardization is always something what we discuss in the market. For sure, to be interoperable between the systems, that they can exchange their data, there is a need for standardization. I don't know exactly where the standardization needs to be taken. So if it is in the communication layer or is it on the application layer, however, at the end, I think if it comes to the use of the data, so in the use case where really finally the business case starts to fly or to run, there is a need for standardization, in my opinion, that they really can easily exchange presence data, to escalators or elevator systems to do something in advance. So that is, in my opinion, very, very important. And I believe there will come something like a standardization within the next years with a more experience in, especially in these wireless technologies. There will maybe something like a quasi standard. So there will be one or two systems or technologies which will be so reliable that everybody will use it. And
Yeah. And maybe then the last question for you all, and starting with Peyman. What are the key smart building use cases you see right now taking off at large scale?
Definitely the topic around hybrid working. For about 1 year ago, we were talking about back to office, but now is basically accepted that hybrid working is there and it stays there, and people work from home. And most of the enterprise I'm interacting, trying to create a great office experience so that convince their employees come back to office and use the offices. And this only happens with a new architecture, new design, new furniture, new environment, new zones. And also many of them, especially facility management and real estate people, are trying a lot of different options and to get the data, how the people use that environment, what is most effective, what makes the people more happy. So they need those data and use the sensors to measure the occupancy, the usage, and based on that, making a most effective decision in terms of how to scale out those designs into their headquarters to the other states. So this is an extremely hot topic, and these are my most interaction with enterprises. And by the way, we have a very for those audiences that happens to be in Munich or visiting Munich, we have a showroom together with Telefonica in their innovation hub in the center of the Munich. Reach out to me. We could go there, visit there, how this hybrid working really look like, with how to get the data, how to design and effectively measure occupancy and provide the experience to your employees.
Cool. And Thomas, what is that for you? What are the big use cases you see right now?
So right now, short term, I see the same as Peyman because we have this return to office. But then the, let's say, more sustainable thing is the energy efficiency in the building stock. So what we see is especially the lighting, the move to LED, and using the data from the lighting for controlling room level temperature, even refurbishing valve thermostats and stuff like that. That's the second big thing I see for the next 3 years, 4 years. And we have also one topic on the rise, which is asset tracking.
correct.
So you can also manage your inventory through this wireless infrastructure. And it even goes, I think, in a period of 7 years into the direction that you even combine the building facility backbone with the shop floor, with the production processes. But that's a longer way to go.
Cool. Ralf, what is it for you? What kind of use cases do you see in the smart building space?
Yeah, right. In the smart building space, it's definitely that what Peyman also already mentioned. The space utilization and optimization of area for working desk or this is that what we are doing in the moment most. To serve or to support smart cleaning, very important thing is to being flexible, to reduce costs here. It's not only not doing things, but doing the right things, and maybe have some time to do, especially in the cleaning purpose, do the cleaning at the right time when nobody is still in the building, as an example. And last but not least, is asset tracking, what Thomas mentioned. This is also a very important thing. If I look to hospitals, how often they search for devices. It is so easy with Wirepass Stack to do an asset tracking, to find these devices super easy, integrate that in their process systems in a hospital, and there is a huge win situation. So these are my most favorite use cases in the moment.
Is it also like on sustainability, like that you on predictive maintenance, that when you install the lighting system, you know when the light needs to be replaced, and on that hand you better have a view on what kind of materials you need to use to get new elements in there. Is that also becoming more of an issue or a business case?
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Bastiaan first.
Thanks. I mean, anything you do to make things efficiently has a major impact on sustainability, right?
Yeah.
Whether you do asset tracking and you reduce the amount of medical staff, you do less cleaning, you have less square meters. Anything you do to do things more efficiently has an immediate saving in sustainability effects. And I think I basically agree with all the use cases. So I don't have much to add to it. So to just not to duplicate what's already being said, I think the crux of it is that what you now can do is you can actually go away with assumptions and base it on data, right? A lot is based on assumptions.
Yeah.
The assumption is we need to clean a room every week. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can do it every second week. Maybe you have to do it twice a week.
Every day. Yeah.
We don't know. And now you can, and that's with maintenance, that is with predictive maintenance, that is with how many meeting rooms you need per employee. All of that is based on assumptions that are never checked, or that have been checked in 1970. and
now you do. Yeah, now you have the data, and now you do have
data. And that is a huge sustainability effect, right? You can make your buildings more efficient, but if you only need half the buildings, it's the same effect.
Well, I guess we need you all at the AMR Innovation Challenge that we're working on right now. I hope you did see it already, because they are looking for some major innovations globally, and you guys are from big organizations already, and they are looking to really implement some big stuff. So I hope you guys also look into the challenge that we have running right now, and I hope to see you there also. I don't know if you are you already active in Dubai?
Yeah.
Haltjan also, Wirepass also. Ingie.
Well, through Zoomtable and Wirepass, but we are participating in the EMR Innovation Challenge. We will be.
Cool.
So,
well, it was amazing to have you guys with us. We can talk for days on this topic, not only about wireless technology, but for sure on smart and healthy buildings and all that kind of use cases that are out there. Maybe for next time we need to pick one use case and to really see it out in depth. How you guys created that use case? Maybe that's also very valuable to talk about that.
Absolutely, please invite us.
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you
for the next
Bastiaan.
one.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Bastiaan. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Ralf, and thank you, Peyman, to be with us. Talk to you in the near future, hopefully.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Yes,
Ciao, ciao.
bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.